We're good. Game number 1. We're heading into the draft. Sorry about the delays.
Nice.
So we'll see Malfurion actually as the first ban.
Genji insta taken out, which means
Phoenix will take the first pick. An interesting first pick here for Tempest, considering that he actually has a pretty low win rate.
still the
sub
Tracer
40.
with the Tastar.
Yeah.
And
So pretty low win rate at the moment. Phoenix actually in this tournament. It's a sub 40 or sorry, sub 50. He is currently 5-6 because he's been so highly prioritized. It's not because he's a bad hero or that he's non-meta at the moment or teams are overpicking him. It's just because he fits in so many slots right now as a DPS. He kind of is the same role as Tychus in a lot of ways, where any comp can work with him. You can use him with a mage. He can be solo DPS in some cases. You can flex him to solo lane. Well, those are the, of course, extreme cases. He was picked so often that obviously half the teams prioritizing him will lose in our one-sided tournament. So the fact that he's 5-6 is not a big shocker.
And also remember that this is the patch where Phoenix is nerfed and Irel buff, but I don't think we're going to see Irel too. Very unlikely that Korean teams are going to pick Irel. They think Irel just stands in nowhere right now. And they're just better top laners at the moment. And just like the Haka, you can also have global, and you can do damage, surprise attack to the back lane. When Irel can work as a similar tool, but not as globally have a roaming effect like that.
The hammer band used to indicate a Garrosh pick, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Not against the Muradin and the Phoenix. Very difficult to get into position against a Phoenix player. As in terms of DPS, like that's one of the riskier ones you're going to ever grab. Muradin has an escape. See this solo lane targeted here for just a moment with the Sonya ban.
What? Does this mean that we're going towards that Irel path?
I mean, I think with the Sonya ban, it's like 0.2% more likely because, you know, there's only so many solo laners, but I would not assume so. Now, Irel is interesting because with her Righteous Hammer and her ability to use her trait and then jump in instantly with her Avenging Wrath, for example, there's ways to set up combos, and it works well with the Tracer. She's a solo laner. She works similarly to Garrosh in terms of initiation. However, she's a solo laner, so she's not actually able to do all of those things because she's up in the top lane in the early game, so she's not a strong 4-man rotator.
Yes.
She's never really played as main tank right now. And there's a lot of risk involved in using her. She doesn't have the armor that Garrosh has, so it's tougher for her to get in there. We'll just see the standard Rhaegar Johanna.
Oh,
Rhaegar is currently undefeated, by the way.
And a changed Rhaegar, I believe, actually buffed and nerfed Ancestral, but buffed in lots of ways in the early game.
Yeah, mostly
with
cooldowns.
better healings as well.
Yeah.
And actually, overall in the stats, Rhaegar actually bumped up in his win rate to near 51% rate. So I think that's a big help for Ballistix when they have a double support with Tracer, which does not really pair up super well. But when they want to dive in, when Tracer lacks that assassin's 1-kill damage, Rhaegar can just dive in and pick up the kill as well.
Well, the last question here will be the solo laner. The front line being the Muradin Dahaka. It's possible, but pretty tough to make the argument to grab a Malthael here in the matchup versus the Dahaka. Blaze is not actually very strong against this more sustainable damage that's coming out from Tempest. There's not a lot of burst, which is why the Kharazim pick is a little bit unusual here, because usually it fits with the burst comp, not the sustained comp.
And the Thrall with the Haka for Tempest.
Yeah, this could end
Quite
up being
unusual.
This could end up being a weird top lane pick. Like the Blaze is
Irel!
okay,
See?
here we go.
Told ya.
All right, well,
For the first time in Korea.
you called it. This is very exciting. Our first time to cast Irel in this region. And she will operate as solo laner. How she works in terms of the early game is going to be most interesting to me. I think the wave clear advantage is definitely, in terms of the 4-man, slightly favoring Ballistix because they have the Tastar, they have the Johanna, and the blind is also very important because not only does Phoenix have good wave clear, but it's also like as easily shut down just simply by a blind. So if Phoenix is trying to counteract that wave clear, you're feeling good about that until the blind comes through and then you can't auto attack. The clears are coming through. They're always going to be like one wave behind. Yeah, let's see how Irel fares. This is going to be a fun one. But Zhanga playing his first career game on it. As we head into Dragonshire for the first map. What are your thoughts on Yrel overall as a solo laner?
Well, depending on the... She actually, right now, still being worked on and studied on by lots of pro players and all the hero leaguers out there. You can actually choose your one and get some armor for every ability, or just go with the one that actually Zhanga chose right now with the insight and just heal yourself every single time. But she can sustain better, but sometimes I do think getting the armor is actually better during team fights, because that's when the time you're actually going to use a lot of your skills. Sometimes the healing is not enough.
The healing is useful for the solo lane, obviously. Okay, so this is the combo you want to do. You want to jump in with your Avenging Wrath and then try to Righteous Hammer, fully charged if possible. And when you have double support, she has the ability to, similar to Sonya, that extra sustainability, kind of force her way into position to do that. She doesn't do a ton of damage, but she does give that extra CC. And at full charge on Righteous Hammer, she gets a very short stun. I think it's 0.75 seconds.
0.7, yes.
So, like, it's pretty strong, but it's not by any means like better than a Garrosh initiation. She has solid wave clear in the solo lane, and she has the ability to heal herself with her level 1 and with her Q. So, like, Dahaka should never theoretically be able to kill her, and he will be bullied a little bit. Which is rare, because like normally in a melee matchup with Dahaka, you know, it's pretty fair no matter who it is, but against Yrel, it's not going to be so easy.
Her solo lane and wave clear is not actually too bad, but she has to wait until late game to actually show some power up sustain. Along with Johanna, she can actually do a burst amount of damage along with tanking as well. But look at the team call of Tempest. Do you really think they're going to straight just break through the front line and then go to the back lane?
You think you're pulling me in? That's a mistake, is what Zhanga's saying with this. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Look at what they've done on the map right now, what Tempest has done. They committed so much to getting the blue Night Camp to help Dahaka in the solo matchup, which again is a pretty losing one against Yrel. But this allows Ballistix to clear waves massively. Tempest lost several waves of minions in the mid and bottom lane, and they're going to have to come over here and contest for this neutral camp. Dahaka committed in here. SC is in some big trouble. Recall reveals his location. He has to get out. He will escape here, but Rhaegar's not going to be so lucky. And because Yrel rotated down and is just heading up against Phoenix right now, this does end up being, with the Dahaka, with that global power, a win for Tempest.
Win-win situation for them. They have the top camp controlled as well.
Yeah,
so
this is the worst timing this could happen.
For a long time. Tempest actually knowing that rotation, understanding perfectly where they are, and they just committed at the right time. All that time spent for Ballistix wasted, basically.
This ended up being a better rotation for Tempest. Like, macro-wise, they made the better play. Yrel, Zhanga actually went mid, not because he wanted to go mid, but because he was trying to come down and save the fight in the bot lane, so that's why he was rotating down and trying to match Dahaka. By the time he got mid, though, he knew the fight was over, so he had to stay mid, so he wasn't dealing with the top camp. They lost the night camp, and now Rhaegar, you know, is just very sadly soloing the night camp on the red side. And Magi can do this, especially with the healing numbers that have changed for Rhaegar. He can actually solo it pretty easily. But Ballistix is on the back foot here in terms of rotation now. With the exception of the solo lane, which they don't have a great ganking hero to complement this. Iron Skid's used super early. This could actually be a kill if this one connects.
Ooh, the body block is pretty good for Sign.
Very well played by Sign. Just an overextension there.
I think Hooligan was trying to just block the damage incoming without knowing that Muradin was going to come in along with him. So that was a very early use of Iron Skin indeed. Let's get the rotational work. The Ballistic, they're always slower. They were trying to match it up with their own camp at the bottom, but that was stolen away. And they're trying to push top right now, but they do have Dahaka soaking all the waves, so it's not as bad. Even Phoenix joining. Seems like the wall is taken down.
It's not looking good for Ballistix in terms of what they're using this comp to do, because sure, Yrel is winning the solo matchup, but everything else on the map with worse wave clear is being controlled by Tempest. They have occasionally been able to, for a very brief moment, wrest control of the Shrine away. Sign is actually very low health, and he cannot pop his passive. This is a scary moment here. Hyde rotates in, though. Here comes the Brush Stock. Iron Skin, I believe, should still be available. Tempest wins the trade here. Thrall is trying to 1v1 Tracer in the bot shrine. Winning the matchup, but not enough to grab this away. So frustrating right now for Tempest because the lack of wave clear means that even though they're winning the fights and the trades and they're making the better macro decisions, they just can't hold these shrines for very long.
It is not too bad. Actually, not too bad. A little bit slower in terms of that. But they do control, they do have the global. So I think using the Dehaka just like that to pressure out the enemy at the right time, I think they're just having a fine rotation for now. But once 10 hits, it's gonna be a massive difference because Ballistic, they will be trying to go for the targets with all the CCs. And may even be Bloodlust. We were seeing a lot of the Korean players are saying Bloodlust actually a little bit better because Ancestral was nerfed so hard.
Sure, I mean that's definitely true. When you have double support and you're looking at the two main targets are gonna be Yrel and Johanna, who both are pretty tanky in their own right and have some form of self-sustain. Yrel with her Q and Johanna with her Iron Skin. Ancestral's not as required. Yrel also grabbed the Hand of Freedom at 4, so that makes it a lot easier for Johanna to get out. She's got 2 escapes. Hold that thought. Good is the target here. Phoenix is going to warp out. Should be fine. But with the Hand of Freedom on top of it all, yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made potentially for the Bloodlust here. It's not like comp that's going to gain the most value from it, but it's not going to gain much from Ancestral either, so the movement speed can be quite helpful. We also see the, of course, insta-mount here at level 7 for Yrel, just to kind of continue to go through a build one time here. It's our first time. So, 10's up, Ancestral. Not a huge surprise, but, you know, there were arguments, like you said. She's going to get Ardent Defender as well at 10, so she can absorb the damage. Sacred Ground, in my experience, has been pretty useless, but that's just me, so... It's like Sank, but worse in every way. Like, not every way, because like you can move it at 20. Like. I don't know.
Move it at 20. So far, no Dragon Knight.
Yeah, it's been a pretty passive game.
Even though Tempest found few kills, because they were late on rotations, they just wasted that time, used that time to catch up. We've got to see. Just harassing with those water guns.
Yeah, this is the only acceptable Tracer skin in Korea, by the way. I mean, no one else uses any of the other ones.
It's pretty hot here.
It is.
It's pretty hot and humid. That's the Korean summertime, guys.
Oh yeah, it's like 26 degrees Celsius right now, but it feels like 35.
Yeah, which is like closer to 90 Fahrenheit.
You know that plant?
Humid.
You know that plant in Harry Potter, gillyweed?
That
you eat and you get gills? Also, you know, famous HGC caster. I need to take that to like walk around outside because I can't breathe underwater without them. You know, that's how humid it is here. I walk outside my door and I see like the like health meter for being underwater that you get in the game. You know, you get a separate health bar for being underwater for like how much air you have. Like I feel like right before I get in the taxi, like I get that Sonic countdown that's like 5, 4. Exactly. Well, SC.
They're not even coming down. And does not have any more blink though. He recalled off to the left side.
He misses the Sundering as well, actually. The Ancestral going to save him here. Now they can collapse onto Good. Good body blocks here. Salvo going to be used to push them away. Doing very little damage, obviously, without CC effects, but it's a nice salvo. This is the first opportunity that Ballistix is really going to have to actually channel this Dragon Knight. Sign interrupts. It's going to cost him his life. Maybe not. He avatars. Still, they gain nothing from this. They temporarily delayed, but there's no one actually that can take the shrine. Johanna is squatting bottom, and if they stay, they're going to get killed.
But Hooligan can only stay for so long against Roll 1v1. Catch the rotations, actually lockdown. I got a great catch on the rotation of Ballistix. They all know that it's really unlikely that either one is actually going to get any Dragon Knight unless they make some kills happen.
Yeah, it was a good delay there by Sign. He even committed the Avatar. And you pointed it out, what I didn't actually notice at first was that it was Thrall versus Johanna in the bot lane. So as you say, Hooligan can't hold that forever.
Yeah,
and that was
smacked.
Yeah, that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, that forced Ballistix to rotate away, and then Daka got finally back up to the top lane. Now Pulse committed here. With Hyde on the scene, it's not really going to be too impactful. So Ballistix doesn't get a Dragon Knight, they get a neutral camp. Again, that doesn't lead to anything. SC caught here. You know, this is not the same Tracer we used to have.
Ooh, gets cleansed right at the perfect time.
Hooligan caught, man. He's hit by the salvo, too. He's definitely going to go down here. Sign of the body block just in case. And SC, you know, on this Tracer, on her 17.5 nerf that we've had this year, you know, it just starts to really feel like this hero cannot be used in such a carry fashion. Like, double support Tracer, I think, is over. I think it's over. You have the extra wave clear from the Johanna, and the Tastar works in that way. So it's a good 4-man rotation comp where you have the threat of pulse bombs, but against such a good team like Tempest, you're the one who's always under threat. Like, the Tracer is not the scary one. The Tracer is the one who's scared that she's going to get picked or stunned against this composition that has roots. And when Yrel isn't there with her Hand of Freedom, and, you know, Rhaegar cleanses on cooldown, like, you can't do as much with the Tracer as we've seen here already.
And Johanna can't really provide damage as tank. You can kind of peel for the teammate, but that's about it. And SC, they're relying on all the damage. And look at that, they will almost never be able to kill Sign.
Yeah, he's just super aggressively positioning himself as well. It feels like when we launched this for Ballistix, it just echoes the sentiment we had earlier that Ballistix still hasn't adapted to this new meta. Sure, yeah, they have the Rhaegar there. They have the Johanna. They're bringing their Yrel for the matchup against Dahaka. They're buffed to Yrel. But the Tracer is the relic of old. The double support Tracer, that's the big theme here. And no matter how much Yrel bullies the top lane, it's not enough. Like, the top fort is full health. And there's no other standouts here for Ballistix. Sure, this is still a close game, don't get me wrong. But you could feel... I feel like, to me, at least, this is the first time I look at the double support Tracer where I go, I think it's over. Like, I think it's done. I don't think this is going to be a thing anymore. And after the first, like, 16 nerfs, I was like, I don't know. But on the 17th here, I'm like, I think it might be over. You got him, Blizzard. Tracer's done.
That's the first problem that Ballistix has right now, but I think Tempest really got them off guard with the draft of just taking Thrall away and banning Sonya, taking the Hakas before the second ban, and just said, Jonga, what are you going to play? I know you can play some like Leoric, but that's about it.
Look at how poor this rotation ended up being. SD has to pop Archon because they need a fight here. Like, Tempest just totally smashed this. Like, they have a huge advantage. Look at that Sundering in this position as well. Totally isolated, you know, is Hooligan right now. He has to eat the Ancestral. Sign's there for the body block. Don't want to overextend, though, because the Ancestral was well-timed. Salvo blows SC up, and the fight is over. And this type of rotation to collapse onto the Dahaka, we've seen it so many times, but with the Hanzo, you know, in the Hanzo split soaking, you toss in the arrow, or with a Falstad that can fly up, so you're at least getting experience. They lose experience committing a 5-man to a Dahaka, then lose a fight where their heroics had to be used early. And Tempest is in complete control of this game, and they have been from start to finish here.
The adaptation really coming in hot. Game 1 character can just dash away, so that's not going to do too much. As Dahaka's already at the bottom, pushing the wave.
That's the key. Like, Dahaka's like, by the way...
Guys, I'm not in the fight.
Have you noticed the experience bar on our side just keeps getting higher and higher? Look at Yrel's indecision. Jung-Ah goes bottom for a moment, realizes it's too late, comes mid to contest.
It's hard to contest. It's hard to really put out the damage where Sign is like the only one in front. Once you try to go in, there's lots of counters that can actually bounce. Hyde actually trying to target on the Tracer alone.
Yrel gonna go ahead and pop her heroic. But here's the blow-up that comes right afterwards with the 7 side. She's way alone, no escape there, already using her chop. This is Dahaka channeling the Dragon Knight. And, I mean, this is just going to go straight to the bottom keep wall and into keep. They cannot lose anyone else. Hooligan stunned, already used his Iron Skin. Salvo. His slow's going to wear off, I think, right before. Gets the extra shield there. He survives, but huge wins here for Tempest. Massive. You know, big if true, etc. I don't know. Like, this is looking bad for Ballistix right now. They are about to get perfect gamed, potentially. They cannot lose anyone else right now. They absolutely cannot afford to.
Yrel comes back at 3. But also seven-sided right after she comes back. And they will get the keep, certainly. Oh, look at them. They're trying to go in a little bit more recall. Already used as on 30-second cooldown.
Okay, they're actually going for the core here. It looks like Hyde eats the pulse bomb. SC does get that rare ancestral onto the Tracer. Good blessed shield here. Lockdown's caught. Does have some sustain though, and they're going back in with the Sundering. Huge Sundering here. Nobody's dead on the side of Tempest. Jungha's caught. He is losing his armor. He's taken out here. Looks like Ballistix wants to end this with a perfect game. Good gets taken out though as I say that. And I don't know if they can core anymore. SC dodge that shot. The minion wave is fading. They still want this though.
Non-Hyde does not have any more mana and gets pulsed. That's a dead Kerazim. So core call is actually an off one.
Yeah, the tongue grab here.
Anymore.
The tongue grab here gets another traded kill at least. They want this. Under keep sign.
Even more sign. Barely survived.
They get the kill.
They do get the kill, but they're also super low.
They get 20.
Really
Tempest is like, I don't know, man. This is. I don't even know how to make an analogy.
They are looking for blood. They want to go for the kills all the time, and Sign survives all the time.
How do I make this into an analogy? I don't know. Like, it's like, you know when you fight Brock in Pokemon, and if like a fire type, like if you use like Ember against his Pokemon, it's not very effective, right? But it's like Tempest is like so high leveled right now that like it just burns through anyways. Like they're not doing the right thing, but they're like, well, yeah, well, we can get the core, but like, watch out! I gotta kill you all, and then I'm gonna walk out, like, and make it seem like it was the right choice. I mean, they're so massively ahead. They got 20 off the extra kill experience, which is like a rare situation. You know, it's 10 to 2 kills. Yeah. Ballistix, like, they need some miracle teamfight wins, and the only kills they got were when Tempest overextended on core, and we're trying to fight like 3v4. Good's overextending, speaking of which. Oh, but it sets up a triple Sundering, and the salvo. Good gets out, he avoids the righteous hammer.
This is the hammer, and the Good survives. I think it's a miss call by SCSU, who did not drop the pulse bomb actually. In that sense.
He gets the kill, and he gets a shield, so he's staying alive a little longer, dodges the wolf, drops down the pulse bomb. But it's a trade here, as Good still got some shields.
Only a little bit.
Buff Durell, by the way, not that good against the 20.
It's hard for Ballistix to go in, even for SCSC. There are lots of CCs to counter the dive that can be done by Rel and Tracer. Thundering, lots of CCs from Muradin, the Haka, that's going to protect the back line. And once they are isolated, if they dive alone, some CCs with a 7-sided % damage. So anyone who basically dives in if they're alone, they will get cut out. Like Irel, that happens so many times. So Tempest, their team composition that they have made in game 1 and forced the weird pick out of Ballistix, which is Irel, worked out perfectly in this Dragonshire game.
Yeah, when you know that, like, Ballistix was moving towards the double support and it was likely to be Rhaegar, the Sonya